Hey, everybody. Good morning. Happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Maybe some people Sunday morning in Australia and stuff. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the mods and everything. This is the Quickie. We didn't do this in a while because we're doing some bigger productions. But there's just so much news to cover. It's going to go longer than 10 minutes, I'm afraid. There's just a lot going on. So let's jump in, switch cameras. Thank you for the likes in advance. So first of all, my crusade continues. And that crusade is to help you guys navigate these treacherous waters. I cover all bases. Some people get upset when I talk about some geopolitical stuff or macroeconomic stuff, but it's critical. It's critical to time the markets, when to get in, when to get out, when to hedge. That's why I do it. I share everything I see that I believe is important. So that's where we are. So let's go. Math, money, freedom, and disclaimer. Not financial advice. Today I'm going to look at some charts. I'm going to talk about accumulation, drainage, Ethereum adoption, Metcalfe's law, FTX, and stocks, money laundering, Solana versus Cardano, from thefool.com, not from me, Luna, Cosmos, Amazon, Citycoins, BlockFi news, some geopolitical update, and a whole lot more. I'll try to pack it in as quickly as I can. So first of all, drainage continues. This is from Sentiment. This is kind of staggering. Now, the real thing to know here is retail is selling. Okay, while that's happening, guess who's buying? Whales. So whales over the last 6 weeks bought 220,000 Bitcoin, and that's over $10 billion worth. And remember, they did this against the geopolitical backdrop of where we are standing today. Fed uncertainty, potential war, etc. And they're grabbing all they can. Okay, so that's not a sign out there, a message for retail investors. If it's good enough for people that have 1,000 plus Bitcoin, don't sell. Okay, hold tight, even if we are going through a volatile period. And I'll talk more about how I believe Bitcoin is standing up real strong considering what's going on. Now remember, that 220,000 Bitcoin per my method of calculating, there's never going to be any more than 14 million Bitcoins because so many is lost, etc. That's 1.57% of the total supply. So put that in perspective, everybody. So next one, let's look at the chart. A couple of things to point out here in the Bitcoin chart as I walk through it. I put in my little yellow boxes. You all know I talk about 3 steps: step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 2 has been uncanny as to how it is working out. Obviously, we had the kill zone, the 24th of January. That's when I got into the biggest synthetic long of my life. And believe me, it was very big. That's when we hit about 33K. And I think MicroStrategy's down about $330. It was nuts. But now we're at the 42K level. Again, considering the backdrop, we are holding real strong at this level. And note as well the confluence between the 50-day moving average and my 42K second step. They are in line. So that is really positive. I do expect a lot of bumps, a lot of turbulence going into next week for a whole host of reasons. Fed emergency meeting, what happens in Ukraine, etc. But so stay tuned. Now the weekly candle is very important to look at too. This looks very sweet. Again, considering the backdrop, it looks like a big role reversal, moving very bullish after what was a pretty rough 8 weeks, 9 weeks. So here we are. If we close up with the way we are today, that will be a very bullish sign for people that believe in TA and make trades because of it. Again, not bearish. Again, and especially considering the backdrop, that is an extremely positive sign. So let's talk about this. This is kind of the theme today, which I thought was fascinating. This is from a guy called Wicked Smart Bitcoin. Follow him on Twitter, and I just love this. So I call it the day fiat dies. But really looking at this chart, it talks about, where we are, where the history of Bitcoin came. And 2 things that are important in this chart to note. One is that middle point, the inflection point. The price of Bitcoin at the time is about 3,600, and that was on the 29th of July, 2019. Okay, that is the time that the chart, the curve, inflected and starts to go parabolic. Think of an S curve. Now, the other thing that's really important is the day fiat dies is forecasted to be May 21st, 2029. Now, digging into history a little bit, a few things that are interesting to note is if you look at the British reserve currency status, that lasted 105 years. France's reserve currency status lasted 95 years. Spain's reserve currency status lasted 111 years. USA reserve currency status is on year 100. So literally, if you average up those three other reserve currencies and come to a number, that 2029 is not far off. It may even be 2030. But the point is, everybody's talking about the problems that central banks have, financial systems have, fiat has. They can't raise rates. If they raise rates, they kill themselves. They cause a recession. They will, a little bit. They'll tweak rates a little bit just to try put a lid on things, but they can't control inflation with interest rates unless they jack up to 6% overnight. So we're in this weird world where money printing has to continue. And I've never been more confident, and every month I get more and more confident. So that is the day fiat dies. So have yourself a life raft. I'll talk more about life rafts at the end as well. Now, in terms of FUD, your stupid politicians, and they're just getting dumber every day. And I just can't be silenced anymore. The stuff that comes out of politicians' mouth makes me irate. And how anybody even listens to them, I don't understand. But this is typical FUD that they use against crypto. Oh, it's used by criminals for money laundering and all that crap. Look at this. The $3.6 billion seizure from Bitfinex shows you how hard it is to launder cryptocurrency. Now, the Bonnie and Clyde that were out there doing this, they did everything. They did everything they possibly could to make the Bitcoin untraceable for the last 6 or 7 years. They used Monero, every type of obfuscation technique you could imagine under the sun. They washed it. They did chain hopping. They also, I think they used Dash as well as Monero. They tried to use Alpha Bay dark web as well to stymie detectives. Again, every trick in the book, they were caught. You can't. The blockchain is open and visible, so you can see these transactions move around. Anyway, that was interesting. So I just hope that piece of FUD is dead forever. And if anybody ever mentions it, just throw this in their face. Okay? So next thing, FTX explosive growth. We have a big Super Bowl event coming up. They're going to be a big sponsor tomorrow. But the big news is soon FTX will do everything you need, whether it's mint an NFT or trade crypto, etc. And I'm not pushing or shilling, but the fact that they will have equities coming out as well is super interesting. You might truly have a one-stop shop platform, and I'm kind of personally excited by that as well. Also, I got the best fills, best trades, and they're doing a couple of other things as well that Coinbase don't have. I also use Coinbase Pro, but they have some new ZK rollup additions too we'll be talking about as well. And I saw the guys on Millennium Money talking about their 10% off fees. Well, I have the same thing below, whether it's .com or .us. Use it. We donate all money to charity. So if you want to get an FTX account, feel free. Not shilling, just, we get money to make the world a better place. I don't need it myself, as you guys know. So crypto adoption, parabolic phase is absolutely off the charts. These are the ETH addresses, the number of addresses holding more than 0.01 Ethereum. You can see it's up and to the right. That's the blue line on the chart there. And the log line in the gray is the actual ETH price. Obviously, ETH has been suffering. But again, we are going to work on something around Metcalfe's law, crypto adoption, and pricing and price projections. If you guys are interested in that, nobody really has done a good job of estimating actual impact on price year to year into the future based on growth of adoption. But we have so much data now around adoption and addresses across multiple cryptos, we'll be able to do something cool. So let me know in the comment below if you're interested in seeing that data. Now, let's talk about this one. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of Motley Fool. Whoops, it says Motley Food. It should be Motley Fool. That's how much of a fan I'm not. But this guy, Trevor Genuine, he came out with an article on the better cryptocurrency to buy. I know it's controversial. His words, not mine. And it's rare. It's very rare that Fool.com come out and say they talk about stuff and then they try sell a newsletter. But here, this guy actually comes up with a conclusion. So well done, Trevor. Appreciate you. So he said Solana is faster, cheaper, and more developed. It has a stronger ecosystem of dApps, far stronger, and DeFi products easily eclipses that of Cardano. And it's better positioned to gain ground on Ethereum in the future. So I thought that was a nice little summary. He kind of covered all bases and spoke about some of the issues with other stuff. But anyway, the fact that the market cap of Cardano is higher than Solana, it just doesn't make logical sense. Not hating on Cardano, just doesn't make sense. Even the guy at the Fool knows it. So we'll see where all this goes. But despite the issues with Solana, we expect a rebound. It's up about $2 or $3 today after a rough day. So speaking of Solana related stuff, Wormhole if anybody's out there and they've got any type of development, hacking skills, bug finding skills, check this out. If you're good at finding bugs, go to, what's the sign? I think it's Immunify is the website. And they have a $10 million bounty available for people that can find vulnerabilities in the wormhole platform. So again, put your skills to use, make some money, find some bugs. Could be good. So next news, Avalanche. They pounced to number 2 in TVL. Amin Gunsira is extremely happy, and it is a big deal. They leapfrogged Terra, Binance Smart Chain, and now they're number 2 behind Ethereum with nearly $17 billion in total value locked. Obviously, it's a key metric to show the importance, and well done to Avalanche. Big move there, and Avalanche has been very, very strong too. I was tempted to buy at 60 the other day. I was like, ugh, I've got too much stuff. I didn't, but if we dip anywhere near 60 again, I will snag some Avalanche. So, not financial advice, just what I do. So Luna, speaking of the one that they actually leapfrogged as well, Luna is hanging on. Also another snipe target. They have had some little gremlins around Anchor Protocol and liquidity, and that's put some selling pressure on the token. But we saw that we did dip down to 45, 46 a couple of weeks ago, and the chart is looking a bit weak right now. So I do consider that another kind of buy zone as we go forward. This chart is from WSB Crypto on Twitter, and you should put out the head and shoulders patterns, but as we all know, head and shoulders patterns don't matter really very much. It's much more about the macro situation behind. So don't rely on TA exclusively to make a decision, but it's a good indicator as to where to position your snipe targets and your sell targets as well. So let's talk about Cosmos news. It's funny, this was another thing, an article, a guy called Michael Levere, he picked up my TA Tuesday, Octa Tuesday, last Tuesday, 5 days ago, where I said, invest answers on Cosmos. It looks absolutely perfect to skyrocket. It's like, ooh, I got a bit nervous because it came out 5 days later and we went through a lot of stuff, but I went and looked at the chart. We're only $1 under when I said that, but remember, we've gone through a whole world of crap over the last 5 days too, with all the backdrop and the markets. So it was at 29 last Tuesday. Now it's at 28 and change. So I still do believe the chart looks really primed and it could hit 45. And again, on any weakness, I might gather a little Cosmos too. So, but again, I'm going to fall into that same hole of buying too much stuff, and I don't want to do that. So I'm being very, very strong. So I might just say, whichever of the 3 I just mentioned falls the furthest, hits my kill zone, I might grab those first. So let's talk about the market as well. Obviously, the market was rough on Friday. This is the Amazon chart. So Nvidia was down 7.3%. Again, that's another one I want to pick up. Amazon fell 4%. Apple, Microsoft, both lost over 2%. So these 4 companies alone had a huge impact on the loss for the S&P 500. I am in also a position in Amazon, but I shorted the 3,200 because I thought 3,400 was a medium-term top, but I might cover early next week depending on how low it goes, especially if it goes below 3,000. That's when I cover, and if it goes really low, I might buy some more. That's the Amazon news. Now, BlockFi, they just got a $100 million smack on the wrist. $100 million penalties to stop opening new high-yield Bitcoin accounts. So a lot of people probably saw this and they were concerned. It's like, oh no, I've got a Celsius account. Are they going to go after Celsius too? I said, no, they're not. So this is a different kettle of fish altogether. BlockFi did play a little bit of sleight of hand, a little bit of bait and switch. You saw that with the rates if you're involved in BlockFi. Extremely heavy sales and marketing. You've no idea how hard these guys tried to get me to push their stuff. Never touched it. I'm always very suspicious when things are sold very hard. Thank God I made a good decision. They have also had some lack of transparency, poor customer service in some cases, and the SEC is there to protect customers. That's their focus. And when you don't put your customers number one, there's a problem. Now, there was also other stuff. Not only were they aggressive in promoting and promising yields 1 week at a time, they also have a big under-the-hood exposure to GBTC. They formed a while back a Schedule 13G, I think it is, with the SEC. And that is when you have to report that you own more than 5% of any particular asset class. So at the time when they filed this form, they owned more than 5% of GBTC. Now, you know the discount that's on GBTC. That means these guys are holding a truckload and taking the hit. It could easily represent over $800 million in losses to BlockFi. So not only Are they not making any money because they're giving too much away? At least they were back in the day, but they're making a lot of trading losses too, and it probably has a lot of financial problems under the hood. So just be careful, everybody out there. If you are on BlockFi, could be dangerous. I've been saying it's dangerous for a long time, but there's more news here. $100 million penalty, smack on the wrist, is substantial. That's 0.1 of $1 billion. That's a big fine. And the SEC are not happy. But again, Celsius, Nexo, all those other platforms, safe. So don't worry about those. For now, no guarantee, but this is an unrelated situation. Now, another thing I was asked for back in 2021 is, can you analyze city coins? And I was like, no, this crap. Why would you buy a crypto from a city? Well, look at this one. Miami coin is down 90% today from its all-time high. If you invested $1,000 in September, you have $100 now. So again, everybody, this is an example. Be very careful where you invest. Maybe it's another bait and switch. I don't know. But remember, the city pulled out $5.5–6 million from the actual projects. So they did well. But the people that hold the babies are losing. So just, again, watch what you invest in, ladies and gentlemen. And you think you could trust Mayor Suarez, but I don't know. I know he's a big pro-Bitcoin guy. But anyway, back to the real news. What's scarier than rate hikes? We learned that on Friday. People are more worried about the situation in the Ukraine that I've been talking about since October. Here we are. And now this morning, there was a phone call between Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden. And I just got some kind of high-level notes from the actual call. But according to the readout of the call, Biden was clear that if Russia understands or undertakes a further invasion of the Ukraine, the US, together with its allies and the long list of allies, UK, Canada, etc., will respond decisively and impose swift and severe costs. Now, I don't know if that is part of the embargoes or whatever, but Russia doesn't care about that. I think that's why they pivoted to Bitcoin as well last week. But we'll see. He also reiterated that a further Russian invasion of Ukraine would produce widespread human suffering and diminish Russia's standing. So I don't know if it's kind of gentle diplomacy or if he was, putting a lot of heft behind his words. But I think Putin can run circles around our current president right now. But what's scarier than Ukraine, and this is scarier than Ukraine, is China invading Taiwan. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I hope another theory I had late last year was Putin and Xi are in cahoots. I hope I'm wrong. Now, what did the markets do to all of this? Look at this. Bonds had their day in the sun. So you have the Dow Industrials in dark green, S&P 500 in purple, NASDAQ in light green, all took a big dump this week, last week. This week, I should say. We're still in this week. And the iShares Treasury Bond ETF was up. Woohoo. So it's funny how the world works as well. So let's talk about these nervous times that we are in. Bill Miller is back again. I've been talking about him a lot over the last couple of months. Legendary investor says Bitcoin is insurance against financial catastrophe. And he still has a very big position in it. Remember, he describes it as an insurance policy. And you need it when things burn down, like your house, or you get into a terrible accident, or whatever happens. You're diagnosed with a critical illness. Bitcoin is insurance against financial catastrophe, as we see in Lebanon, Afghanistan, and many other countries around the world, Venezuela, Argentina. All these places are losing tremendous value. Look at the US dollar, 7.5% fake CPI number, when it's probably 21% easily. The rents on average in the United States, I just saw a report, are up in 2021 21%. So take the CPI, multiply by 3. That's your real inflation. And forget food, forget beef. I saw another picture today where it was some store somewhere in Europe and they had mesh wire around beef to keep it safe because people are stealing food now. Things are that bad. Now, Saylor, big fan of Michael Saylor, he says, given the uncertainties that investors currently face, it feels less risky to be holding Bitcoin than any mix of currencies, credit, equity, commodities, or property. So there you are from Michael Saylor. Anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. See you tomorrow for our weekly Q&A where I answer all your top questions, and we have some doozies. Every week these questions are getting harder and harder and they take a long time to prepare, but there's some really good stuff there too. Thank you to the mods out there in the chat. Anybody who donated stickers to the animals, we'll be sponsoring animals as well tomorrow. And I will see you all. And thank you for the likes. See you all tomorrow. Bye.